Happy New Year! The Chicago Bears get destroyed, humiliated, boat raced by the Detroit Lions by the score of 41-10 to ring in the new year on a very sad note. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears post-game reaction video, which I'll be doing after every single Bears game this year. There's only one more, thank God, okay, before this terrible, pathetic season is over, okay? I've never seen this many Bears losses since 2017 when we won 3 games that year too. Now this year was, 2016 when we won 3 games. This year was a lot more entertaining, I will say, because for a good stretch of the season, we had Justin Fields doing crazy things, putting the team on his back, but he's not able to do that anymore. He seems like he's worn down and he's not, really able to do the stuff he did earlier, partly because the team also is collapsing around him, okay? We had multiple backups out there today, and I don't want to make an excuse for them playing this poorly because obviously our entire team played terrible today, okay? We got outclassed from beginning to end on both sides of the ball. Like, it wasn't even close, okay? And congrats to the Lions, okay? They're actually a really good team now, I will say, and they're gonna make the playoffs probably. And, respect to them because they were the bottom feeders of the division for a very long time. And right now, that is us, okay? Now the Chicago Bears are the bottom feeders of the division, at least for this year, because, man, we got just destroyed, okay? It wasn't even close. It felt like that, Buccaneers game from last year, or maybe the Browns game from last year, where we could not get a single thing going on the offensive side of the football. Our defense was allowing big plays on the ground and through the air the entire game. It felt like Jared Goff had forever to throw the football, and that's why he went off for the stat line that he actually had, okay? 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He didn't get touched a single time, I believe, besides for, like, garbage time, right? So, terrible performance, okay? I was barely watching the second half. Like, I was partly on my phone, just, like, had it on in the background, right? Because who wants to watch a terrible game like this? Obviously, being a diehard Bears fan, I have to watch every game and to give you guys this post-game reaction, so I still was watching barely, kind of, but that second half was so extremely bad. And the only thing, I'm obviously not going to be too mad at losses this year because, guys, we had 3 wins before this game, okay? So we weren't going anywhere this year. We're obviously clearly tanking this year, right? So a loss is not going to, make me sad at this point. But the only thing I was really mad about was, why was Justin Fields on the football field in that fourth quarter, okay? That made no sense whatsoever. He was getting destroyed, killed the entire afternoon because our offensive line was terrible the entire day. But for some reason, Eberflus kept him out there, which made no sense in the world, okay? At that point, if he's your franchise quarterback, you're supposed to take him out and let the backup take the beating, okay? That's what a smart coach would do. In this game, I don't think Eberflus was smart with that decision. Now, that doesn't mean I'm totally out on Eberflus now because of one decision, but that specific decision was a very bad decision in my opinion because there's nothing to gain from having Fields out on the field for that long, okay, in the fourth quarter, because obviously we were down by like 28 plus points. We were not going to make a comeback. I don't care about garbage time stats in a year like this in which he just does not have anything to work with, guys. And talking about Justin Fields then, obviously his stat line is terrible, okay? 7 for 21 for only 75 passing yards, okay? 1 passing touchdown at the beginning, which we always score on the first drive of the game somehow. Then we just completely stop playing football, it seems like. He also had 1 interception, which was a really bad pick, in which I have to say the play call too was just, I have no idea what was happening on that play, right? Because the time was running out and it seemed like we were kind of running in slow motion and the receivers were all just like kind of in the same spot, just like 10 yards down the field, right? And Fields just kind of lobbed one up to a random guy, and Aiden Hutchinson was right there, right? So that was a bad decision, obviously, by Fields. He shouldn't have thrown that, but I also question what the play call, what the plan was on that play. So obviously Fields as a passer did basically nothing today, but again, I have to say the situation around him was probably the worst in football, okay? He had guys dropping passes the entire game as usual, okay? Cole Kmet had a drop, Dante Pettis also had a drop, and guys were just simply not getting open, okay? It would be like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 10, and nobody was open down the field. Obviously, you're gonna have to watch the all-22 to see if anybody, came open for a split second. But even if that was the case, like, there was very few opportunities for Fields to actually attack down the field. And when he actually had the opportunities, partially the O-line could not hold up in pass protection, okay? Braxton Jones, the rookie, got killed today, okay? He had his worst game probably as a member of the Chicago Bears. Not a good game for Braxton Jones, not a good game for our entire offensive line because they got out-hustled, outclassed by, what's turning into a pretty underrated now Detroit Lions defensive line, right? So, again, Fields, terrible numbers, but I have to ask you guys this question, like, which quarterback in the league would be successful in a situation like this one, okay, that Fields has been thrust into? It's probably the worst situation in football, right? His number one receiver, Darnell Mooney, is not on the field, and even Mooney probably will not be a number one on the majority of teams. He'd be a number two. Chase Claypool seems to be barely making any impact whatsoever, so I'm getting a little bit worried about Chase Claypool and his lack of involvement in this Bears passing attack. But again, I can't judge too much until I see him with the full offseason with Fields, working with Fields, because obviously Claypool also got hurt the last 2 weeks, right? So he's probably still dealing with that injury somewhat. And hopefully that's the reason why he's not making a big impact, because otherwise it's not looking good for the Bears. They'll get trading away number 33 overall for him. But, again, at the time I was a fan of the move because we needed to make some type of move at receiver. But so far, he's not really doing that much. But guys, just like O-line, not doing anything to get Fields any time. Even, our running backs, okay, Khalil Herbert, when he was out there in pass pro, Khalil Herbert was terrible in pass pro, okay? The one shot that Fields took down the field to Pringle, that could have connected, okay, if he had just like a split second more time to throw the ball. But Khalil Herbert got absolutely destroyed in pass pro going up against whoever he was going up against, right? So it's a terrible situation for Fields, okay? The worst in the NFL. So if you're giving up on Fields for some reason, even though he showed a lot of flashes this year, okay, goodbye, okay? I mean, he's going to be the quarterback next year, so you can be a fan of some other team if you want to be, but I'm still a big believer in Fields. I think that next year, with the proper structure around him, we are going to see the passing game evolve from him, right? Because he hasn't been a very good passer so far in the league, partly because, again, we don't have the structure around him to be successful as a passer, right? So bad game overall. Okay, the defense got destroyed. What can I say about the defense? But again, like, we don't have Jalen Johnson. We don't have Eddie Jackson. Our defensive line is absolute garbage. So not too surprised. I thought the Bears might keep it a little bit closer because, last couple weeks we've shown some fight. But today the team just completely gave up, okay, which is not good. Obviously, you want to show some fight, show more fight than you showed today. But we just simply do not have the talent to be competing with some of the better teams in football, okay? Even against the worst teams like, the Falcons and, some others, like, we still lost against those teams too, right? So, like, this team is just simply not good. We knew that the last couple weeks, going into this year too. And I cannot wait for the offseason to actually talk about, getting better players on this squad, okay, through the draft and through free agency, because right now this is one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my time watching the Chicago Bears. So that'll wrap up the video. It's not a very long video, but I don't think many people are going to be watching this because we don't care about the season anymore, and the season just needs to be done pretty fast. Thankfully, we only have one more game. Leave your comments down below, guys, but as always, bear down.